We're back again. Oh, geez, that peaked a bit.
Woo! Yep.
We're back at Versus again. Graciously, we've been allowed to use the space for a second time now, and this is a really cool space. I really like the vibe here, and today we are here with Ev, who is the owner/operator of Versus Merch, correct?
That's me.
Yeah, and creator.
That's right. I created it.
Your brainchild.
I founded it. That's that's the buzzword I like to use.
The founder.
I'm the founder.
I like that. Yeah. And it's impossible to walk through here and not notice the plethora of other businesses that you have also started. And I thought it would be really cool to just get those on the table straight up.
Yeah.
Do you even know? Can you, from memory, name all of the business that you currently have a banner over?
Look, most of these businesses are a result of it's just my mind exploding as I walk around the place. So, I mean, look, if you start at the very front of the building, you'll notice there's a wall filled with light boxes, and then you approach the Japanese vending machine on the right hand side.
Yep.
So I came in that day. When I planned all of those additions to the alleyway, the entrance, I wandered up the alley and I had a mission. I had something I really had to work on that day, but I happened to be missing Japan at the same time.
Yep.
So I was like, yep, I'm going to go inside. I'm going to, kick today's ass. And also, I want a vending machine and some light boxes. So naturally, I sat at my computer and spent half the day working on trying to source those items. So,
yeah.
That's how that came about. It took a little bit of planning, but I managed to get them in, and it still makes you smile every time I walk in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fun, it's colourful, and this was during COVID, or this was right at the start of COVID, so I couldn't go to Japan, so this was the next best thing in my mind.
Bring
and
it
then
to you.
that's
Totally.
right, that's right. So, and I guess the other businesses stem from that same thought process was Emerald City Neon. So neon, primarily LED neon signage it just looks cool as shit. It's a lot of fun. It's it's much easier, much safer to install than the old school style neon because it's a lot more hardy. It's a lot cheaper to run. And like
you
I said,
don't have to have a veritable degree in glass blowing.
Well, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And so that ended up being a product that Versus Merch would offer.
Yep.
And then it just ended up blowing up and becoming an entity of its own. So it became its own business just for fun. I thought, let's see what we can do with that.
Yep.
And off it went, and we've got a little shop down the road as well with a big window full of neon.
Yeah.
So that's just ticking away over there by itself at the moment. And then we've got the cafe in the front. So we've got the cafe in the front because when I got this building, it was far too big for what I actually needed it for.
Yes.
I thought, it'd be cool. I'm spending a fortune on coffee every day.
Yeah.
We have lots of partners already that we provide merch to that make coffee or roast coffee. For years, they've been coming to us to buy merchandise.
Yeah.
One day I made a phone call and said, hey, I want to buy something off you. So we spun it around and an idea I had turned into a cafe within, I think it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And here we are. So we're just a little staple in Murrumbeena now.
Yep.
With a grungy edition.
It's very shut down the one at the actual train station.
Look, Murrumbeena don't like me very much. But, I'll just keep doing me.
They don't appear to have a choice. You keep absorbing buildings out of the street.
Yeah, look, we're a hungry crew. We'll just keep moving outward and in every direction.
Yeah.
But that's the intro to the front of the building, I guess.
Yeah. So we're at 4 at this point.
Yep. What else happened? There's a few other things. There's a few very small businesses that have just cropped up as just more of an experiment than anything. And it all stems, like I said, just from really it's just things I like things I enjoy in my everyday life. And one of those minor things is hot sauce. I wanted a reason to distribute and acquire hot sauce for myself. And one day I was looking to design over there. You can actually see up there. There's a brand hanging from that pole right there. You can't actually see it.
I see. Yeah.
Cheeky Devil is
I see that.
It's been soft launched, but it'll launch in a bigger way. Pretty soon when I find the time to get around to it. But it was it was just a way to have another product to just an alt style product that people. It's a random item that people enjoy, and it's just it's sustainable as a business because you run out of hot sauce, you have to buy more hot sauce, so you can keep selling it. And, it looks great. The labels are traditionally really cool. So that's on the shelf out there, and that's going to launch on an online sort of in an online format. So send this stuff Australia wide, worldwide if people want to pay the shipping.
Yeah.
And just be a little bit of a central point for hot sauce. So that's That's
It's another one.
That's a bit random. Actually, before we continue walking past the cafe into this building, if you go down the road, there's also a business called Reanimator Guitars.
Yes.
So that's a passion project with a good friend of mine, Chris. He was at a point in his life where he just he'd had enough of his career in as a nurse. He was a nurse for most of his life, most of his adult life, and he just wasn't feeling it anymore. He'd been dealt a few blows politically in that area, and we just had a chat, and he happens to be one of the best guitarists I've ever met.
Right.
He's a fucking wizard.
Yeah. He's an absolute nerd. He's a gear nerd.
Yeah.
And he knows what he's talking about.
He
loves to talk too. Just to throw that out there. He loves to chat. So
that's why you moved him down the road.
That's exactly why he's down the road. But,
Shout out to Chris.
We love you, Chris.
We love you, man.
But the other thing about that is that started out in my garage because I didn't know what I wanted to do with this building, and I had a house around the corner with a massive garage, and I said, just start here because we'll start it online. We already have the contacts because Chris himself has been in bands for forever.
Yeah.
We thought we don't need a storefront. We don't need access to new audiences. So let's just start doing it. Promoting it amongst our circles online, and it just started feeding itself. And then time went by, and it had legs, so we kept going.
Now moved it into here, and then eventually down the street.
That's right. It did come into here for a short time while I was trying to figure out what to do with the room we're in right now. And then the plan started emerging, so we thought better kick him out. Took the space down the road, that's been really, really growing a lot, especially in the last 6 months or so, because we've started a partnership model. So, we're figuring, rather than trying to hit 500 guitarists and their individual guitars, let's go to where I guess central points where we can get a lot more guitars in one fell swoop, and for us that's been rehearsal spaces. So we launched a partnership with Three Phase in Brunswick.
Yeah. I think I've practiced there a few times. Did we just practice there?
Yeah. I think we record. Well, maybe we didn't record there, but I know At War definitely recorded.
Joe
there.
and I, our old band, we've recorded there. That's no longer there. The recording space upstairs.
Oh, right.
That split out and became something else at some point. But There you go.
There you go. Sorry, there you go. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I instinctively talk deeper when the mic's close to my mouth. I don't know why. But
that's right. It sounds good. Don't worry.
It feels good, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Richard Mercer over here.
Yeah, I think I'm scared I'm going to, because, as you guys know well, I've been singing in bands for a long, long time.
Yeah.
The closer it gets to my mouth, the harder I scream.
Yeah.
And so I just think I want to yell, so I get a little scared.
Yeah. Well, you come from a lower point in your diaphragm as well, so I get you. Yeah.
So anyway, that was.
So we got.
Yeah. So where are we?
We did Emerald City.
Yep.
We did the guitar one, which was what? Sorry?
Reanimator.
Reanimator. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were going to continue walking through the building to where we are now.
Exactly.
Unless you can stop me
So,
before we get there.
before we come all the way through to the back here,
Yep.
you can go upstairs and there's a tattoo studio.
Yes.
Hidden Throne Tattoo is up there. Now that's.
Hold on. I want to talk about this actually.
Yeah.
Because you've done tattoos, right? Like you yourself have tattooed at least a decent amount.
I have, I reckon, about 15, 20 tattoos under my belt. So I'm not a tattoo artist.
No, per se. But you've done it.
I have. Yeah. I have tattooed.
Which is remarkable to me that you can. I mean, you inherently are an artistic person, though, and you can do like illustration and graphic design. I guess.
That's my wheelhouse. That's my background.
That's like
graphic design and
that's
illustration.
where your original skill set came from.
That's right. That's what led to Verses. Like I was scribbling on, the corner of my books. And I'm that guy that was drawing in the corner of my books in high school. And they said, that's not going to get you anywhere.
Yep, look where it got it.
Yeah, me too, but they were right.
Yeah.
Not in this case, baby.
My drawings were shit.
Well, look, I just was always scribbling away. I was always drawing.
Yep.
As I left, I guess towards the end of high school, I started getting into bands in those last few years.
Yep.
And found out that, I didn't trust that people would really pay me for artwork, but my mates in shit bands would let me draw for them.
Yeah.
And that's how that started. And so I just started doing, artwork for whatever they needed, T-shirt designs, album covers, posters, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And just sort of, that was just, if anything, a hobby from, 16, 17 through to my early 20s.
Yeah. And now 2020, you're not allowed hobbies anymore.
No.
You can't have a hobby unless it's making you money.
Well, that's it.
Continue.
Yeah, so that's basically where That was the start of the evolution of Versus, I guess, because I'm jumping now. I'm jumping forward to Versus. What was I talking about? The tattoo studio.
Yeah. We're upstairs.
So that was more of a joint.
Of Lost.
That was definitely a joint effort with my little brother. My little brother's name is Ian, and he's an amazing tattoo artist.
Yes.
Like this is his thing. He's been doing it for a long, long time. He was working at another studio, giving them a large percentage of what he was earning, and sort of he was doing his own admin. He was getting his own client base, and thought, I might break away and set up something on his own, and I had the means and the space to do it. So we gave it a bash, and he's been operating out of there for a few years now. COVID, knocked him around a little bit, as it did the whole industry. But he's still up there.
That's a rough industry for, COVID lockdown. That's tough.
Well, you're touching people.
Yeah, you can't do it.
You're supposed to.
Yeah. But
in that 1 meter.
A lot of people don't understand how tattoo shops work. Like, you did actually just say just then, but a lot of people don't realize that you effectively rent a chair when you work at a studio. Like, you either have to, it is different, and you organize it differently with whoever owns the shop, but you have to either pay for the chair and pay for the location, or you pay percentage. So, and it cuts a lot of profit.
Exactly right. I think you either pay a set amount, or most commonly, from my knowledge, and from what I've been told by friends who are artists, is that they give a predetermined percentage of their earnings every week, regardless of what that amount is.
Yes.
To the shop, and the shop in return, however, deals with all the admin stuff. They're traditionally like, say, a walk-in shop. They've got a person at the counter. They don't have to deal with that. Someone answering the phones.
They take all the bookings.
We'll take the bookings, but also do the marketing and the advertising to get more work.
Socials stuff. Yeah.
And look, with Instagram and things like that, I guess in my brother's case, for example, he didn't really need that, because he was gathering his own audience.
Yep.
And I bet that's a pretty common thing. So he decided to take the plunge, and like I said, I helped him set that up, and it's been kicking ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from that little COVID break there, he's been kicking on. So that's been fun, and it adds to the whole vibe of the building. Like already, we're talking about how many little bits and pieces are here. If you were to come down and visit this place, it looks fun. It's interesting. You walk up the alley, you're seeing, these light boxes, these Japanese vending machines. You can see a tattoo neon sign up in the window. Yeah, it has a cool vibe to me, and especially in an area like this, we're a long way from Brunswick, but it's got that grungy vibe that it isn't present.
It does have that north side vibe.
Yeah. Well, and it's just trying to make something out of nothing. That was the whole idea here. And I think a lot of people have said to me that they don't know how I came up with that concept, but it's not something that I came up with. That's something I've seen when I've traveled around the world. Yeah. So, you go to, like I said before, I love Japan. I've traveled extensively through the third world. You got a space, you've got to fill it out. You've only got what you got. Yeah. This building was far bigger than I thought I was going to end up with. But
this is a very large warehouse.
It is.
It's exceptionally big. And there's a lot of stuff in here. And the amount of merchandise you must churn through is astounding, just based on what I see. And I do come here semi-frequently, and I can see that it's not just the same boxes that are sitting in the same places every time. You've got a fucking pile of boxes over here one day, 2 days later it's gone. The stuff's moving through.
Yeah. No, there's a...
Yeah, even if you were to have an empty space, it'd only be for a period of time until the new stuff comes in, right? It's
exactly. And funnily enough, Joe, you would have seen today. So obviously Joe works here as well. Yep. So he's here at Versus Merch. But
follow today, my TikTok.
yeah. Hit us up on the socials.
You would have seen today what we had. The guys loading out the 80, 90 boxes or whatever it was that appeared. That stuff's rotating through every day now, and it's as much as I'm now getting used to that flow, it still every once in a while hits me. I'm like, holy shit, look at this! How this happened, because I started this on my couch.
Yes,
this is an idea on my couch with some outsourced partners, and me just having a chat to whoever would listen, and just trying to join some dots and see how it could grow it.
The crazy thing is, as well, you're definitely gonna outgrow this place.
We already have, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like I'm looking at the the boxes where they shouldn't be right now.
Yeah, we had to record this on a different table because there were too many boxes.
It's in front of my sign.
Yeah.
I love
You love that sign,
I love
huh?
this sign.
You know what?
That was a key moment for me, man.
That is a really good sign, though. I think that is one of the better feature pieces I've seen in almost any workplace that I've gone through.
Thank you. That means a lot to me.
And in my workplace, they literally have a picture of me on the wall.
Oh my God, I forgot about
And
that.
I still think that's better.
Yeah. You jumping on a trampoline?
It is, yeah. They made us jump on a trampoline and then they removed the background and put us all together.
Wow.
It's fucking
so
horrible.
fucking corny, man, and it's so stupid. And they told me it was going to go on a billboard, and that was it. And it was going to be up for like 6 weeks, and then they fucking put it on the wall. So when you go up the lift, you walk out, and it's right there.
But does it achieve the goal that I think they might have set out for you? Does it uplift you when you walk in and see this?
Doesn't.
Does it?
No.
No, it doesn't do it.
I hate
Okay.
it.
Well.
It doesn't have
Talk to
anything
HR,
to do
man.
with anything, though. as well.
Yeah, it's so you know, like I could go on about my company and the gripes I have with it, but your feature wall is very, very nice. I actually think it's a really cool look.
Thank you, bro. Yeah. I'm just spewing. You can't see it now because of all the boxes. But you know the
We'll
boxes.
take a photo for socials.
Please do.
We'll do photos in front of it.
Yeah.
We'll post them.
Yeah. The sign.
So Versus was the original, yeah. So
Yeah.
this is where it comes from. This is where it starts.
Yep.
And it's interesting, before I asked you that, I would have just assumed that anything that is now a byproduct of your original idea being Versus, I would have assumed that you would have just made them have their own offshoots because they would be buried by what Versus is. So if you were trying to sell like your hot sauce through Versus, you know, or you were trying to sell merch for that through Versus, it'd just kind of get buried by it, right? Because Versus is its own beast and it's the main sort of like gear.
That's it.
And the other ones are the smaller gears that just kind of, you know, are powered by the larger one.
Yeah, look, they're just I don't set any of these other side projects up with aim of, you know, to achieve massive success. They're just additional fun things. They're just projects, you know.
Yeah.
And during the last, Versus turned 10 this year.
Yep. Oh my God.
That's
crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. But that's 10 years of me, you know, going through business processes and learning and failing and picking myself up and whatever else. And I've learned, because I don't think I'm a business genius of any sort. I think I'm just stubborn enough to keep going.
Right.
I've got a little bit of common sense about me, so I'll spot something now before it becomes a problem because of things that went wrong in the past. These little offshoot things, I can sort of look at it and set it up very quickly because I know how to do that now.
Yeah.
So I'm reusing the same information over and over again.
Yeah.
To do things I like. That's all. And in the process, I get to employ friends or, you know, like-minded people that, you know, want to get out of their, you know, their boring 9 to 5 or, you know, find something a little different. And, you know, I've also got a real emphasis here on feelings and how we all feel. Like we should come to a workplace where if you have any kind of issue, you should be able to talk about it openly, you know, and you know, you have a day where you're just not feeling or you're not, you know, hitting the goals that you're supposed to, feel safe to bring that up. And actually, you know, and you know, a lot of this stuff's to my detriment probably. If I was a more stern person or if I was a more traditionally minded business person, maybe our revenue would be 10 times what it is now, but it works for us and we're succeeding and we're only growing. The trajectory is up. It is going. And I couldn't be happier than, you know, with how it's been panning out.
I think you're in the right headspace. I feel like, you know, keeping the general psychology of your workplace at as high as it sort of can be, bearing in mind that, you know, you are sort of coming into work every day and, you know, some days you don't want to come to work, whatever, that is what it is. But as long as you're not waking up in the morning and dreading like going into the office, you know, like as long as you're not that person, that's like the best you can hope for in any sort of workplace.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. That's something I talk about a lot. I haven't dreaded a Monday for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, it was scary at the start. I took a calculated risk because I was, and look, I didn't start from absolutely nothing. I overlapped my previous job because I knew there was a redundancy in that case looming, and I thought, right, I'm going to start working on this side project.
Yeah.
and I had, really low goals. I was little things like, how can I pay off my phone bill this month? Just really low targets, just because I didn't know who I was in that realm yet.
Yep.
And I thought if I could start there and make a couple of $100 while I'm still employed, great. Got a redundancy, so I had a little bit of backup money.
Yeah.
So that's something a lot of people don't have. But over this last 10 years, I can tell you right now that if you took away all of my funding and said start something fresh tomorrow and monetize it as quick as you can, because you don't have a backup plan, I can do that. I know how to do that. And again, it's just because of all the lessons that I've learned along the way.
Yeah.
So I'm really big on encouraging people to chase their dreams. I encourage people to talk to me if they have an idea, because I genuinely love the idea of helping people break out of whatever cycle they're stuck in that they're not happy with.
Yeah.
I've also learned though not to hand that advice out too sparingly, and only because I don't want to give anyone some false confidence if they're not actually capable at that point.
Yeah,
achieving it, because I hate to see somebody fall over.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things, right? Because you can't guarantee that the next person's going to have maybe the ethic or follow through that you have.
That's right.
So you can't just tell everyone to quit their job and do it. And the reality is that not everyone can do it. Right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah.
I know that I'm one of those people. I've come to terms with that many, many years ago. Like, I'm very happy being a cog. I like to be a well-oiled one, and I have a lot of pride in that. But I know that if I was to step out on my own and start my own business, I don't think that I would be able to push it in as such a, push that rock uphill like you have for the last 10 years to a point where you're actually seeing those benefits come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's something I've learned as well. I really admire your ability to be a well-oiled cog, because you know what? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not at all. I'm
There's
no
not
good
many
at
people like you that are, to be honest.
I'm not.
But the thing is, you need to be that person who has the ideas and has the knowledge. You don't need to be the person that does that shit every single day, because that's not where your headspace is, and that's not where your strength is. And
yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's Jamie's greatest weakness. Continuing to do something.
Without a mic, too. He can't even defend himself.
Went at him.
But no, that's right. I really enjoy that about myself now, and I'm grateful I've got a team.
Embrace it. Yeah.
Well, I embrace that now, and I can do so and enjoy it more than ever, because I've got such a good team around me that I know, will help me fulfill those goals. Because I definitely got to a point at about year 6 or 7 where I feel like I just started cruising because I didn't have what it took to, put new processes in place and stick to them.
Yeah.
Because, like we just said, that's not me. I need to be spitting ideas out and spinning in circles and whatever
give
else.
That to someone to have them sort of champion that.
That's right. They can champion that process, which enables me to let go of it and move forward and start just spinning in more circles over there instead.
Yeah,
and that's
But it takes all types, right? Because if you don't have those two people, the money doesn't roll in.
That's it.
You need those people. And it is really interesting that you have a workplace full of friends as well, because a lot of people say not to do that.
I'd say not to do that too now. I do. I think a really good friend of mine that has a lot of experience, his name's James, and I'll make him listen to this later and love me for it. But he has a lot of experience with team building and employing people within startup sort of businesses and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he said it to me not that long ago. Really, he said that any failings of people that you employ are, and this is not the exact quote, this is me murdering it, but he basically said that, if I hire somebody and they fail at that, and that's just as much on me, if not more on me, for hiring a person that not observing that they're not the right person for the job.
Right.
So I've fallen down that trap because I'm very hard on my sleeve, and people wanted to change, or I'm very passionate as well when I'm talking about this stuff, so I can easily talk somebody into loving the idea.
Yeah.
That I'm currently on. When in actual reality they don't, and they're just getting swept up in my my excitement. Then if I'm failing to read that and let's say make a change and take them in, then I've just made things really hard on both of us.
Yeah.
And it's just not going to end well. And unfortunately, that's happened before. That's I've got a few sad stories. With friends where I wish I had better knowledge.
Yeah.
Of that subject earlier, but all I can do now is move forward, and I know better. So you're right. Hiring friends is great, and it is a unique way to go about it. And there's definitely been success stories. There's been a few failings as well. So
I mean, that really is determined by the individual and their efforts that they put in as well. Jamie and I have worked for a company previously, and they brought a they brought a family member in at a more senior position than mine was, and with no understanding of how the business operated, tried to start stipulating things to do, and it really just kind of ripped the company up from the ground.
Yeah.
And that's kind of tough because, I have direct communication with the owner, but it's his father-in-law in this circumstance. So what do I? Where you literally in a situation where he's just like, what do I do?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
we've had similar things because we have quite a few employees now who, they are hired straight off the street. They're not, they just went through the standard application process and interview process and whatnot, and their observations are I guess humorous because they look around and go, "Are you all friends?" Because it feels different here. Luckily, they become our friends too. And that's what should happen. And but it does change the dynamic of the place.
Yes.
It means I have to start behaving in a particular way. In a more professional way. Unfortunately, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
That's
why you got your own office now.
That's why I'm now upstairs because I used to sit in front of my sign.
Yeah.
Love that sign, by the way.
Yeah,
but I did.
It's a good sign. It's
very,
a very good
very
sign.
proud of that sign. I just want to talk about the sign for a moment. That was the cleanest cut version of the Versus logo that I'd acquired to date. It wasn't just an image on the internet or something. This was a tangible, backlit sign on a big green wall, and it really stuck with me. I'm like, look at this. And I bought the fanciest chair I could find from IKEA.
Yep.
Because I didn't want to spend too much on a chair.
Yep.
But there it is over there.
Yep.
It's now just covered in shit.
Yeah.
But I sat it in front of the sign and I said, "Someone take a photo of me."
Yeah.
So that exists out there somewhere.
Yep.
It's a fancy.
That's
fancy
a core memory moment.
That was a turning point for me.
Yeah.
It took you a lot. It took a lot to get you upstairs.
This is my lifeblood. This is just what I know. And I know everything about this business. Because it's obviously it all came out of my head. So it's hard, and I guess I have to trust and allow people that come into this business to take ownership of their roles and just walk away and go. But it's hard. It's hard. So
at Disney, when they write movies, normally the movie is written by one person, but then they pass it through like a dozen other people that work within the studio, and they all make their changes.
Right.
And that's a really heart-wrenching process, right? Because this is something that's come straight out of your heart, and then other people are taking it and kind of changing it just that little bit. And it's not exactly how you envisioned it, but they're just changing it that little bit. And each next person moves in, and then the end result is what we get, at cinemas.
Got it.
And it's that collaborative thinking makes it accessible to a broader audience, and that can be applied to
absolutely can be applied here because those moments where I am feeling confident just to walk away and let it be and let my teams do what my teams do, magic has happened, and really obvious things too that I'm like, oh shit, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah,
because I'm too busy, just running through, running my way. But no, you're right. It's very hard to let go, and you're right, Joe. It's very hard to get me up there, but. I'm doing so much work now that I'm not, sitting amongst everything and I'm just observing things or criticizing things. And no, I don't think I was ever too critical either, but I'd spot things or I'd overhear one thing that I knew was wrong and it'd just off I go.
Yeah.
But no, it's good having a focus up there now. And, I've set up some amps and a drum kit up there. So, no distractions. So there's no distractions really anymore, which is nice. No, none.
And a TV.
And a TV, about 8 neon signs. And, it's a fun room.
Original Super Nintendo in there.
Yeah, there is. Hey, it's still in its box, though.
It's still in its box.
Still in its box.
Yeah. There's not too many of those around. I got spare ones just in case. I've got 3. I got one good one. I got 2 spare ones just in case. And I had to harvest it for parts one time.
I've got a second one as well that's unopened. I saw it at an op shop somewhere. I'm like, I'm taking you.
I'm like one of those guys that owns like 3 Tiranas, except they're Super Nintendos.
One's up on blocks in your front yard. No wheels.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's where I came from.
I just read they're opening at Disneyland in Melbourne.
This is news to me.
Sorry, really? I was aware of how big that was just to throw out there, but you brought up Disney. Just moments ago, or moments before we started recording tonight.
Where?
I'm not sure exactly. What's the bend called? Is it Fisherman's Bend? Fisherman's Bend? Is that what it's called?
Not too sure. No idea.
Jamie, can you fact check?
He's using his phone to record.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's
I
just
don't know if you noticed that's not an SLR. That's a telephone.
So as you know,
he's got more than one phone.
That's true. Yeah.
I like opening businesses, so I thought I'd open a Disneyland in. No, that's not my one.
Give it a crack.
That's not my one. I've got a daughter that's
Versus
obsessed
land.
with Disneyland right now, so it's good because we're trying to figure out how to plan a trip overseas to take her. So I might not need to.
If I knew they were opening a Disneyland in Melbourne, I wouldn't have paid for those fucking cruise tickets, man. Those things were like 12 grand for 3 people.
Yeah, right.
The fuck?
Anyway,
Yeah.
have you found some info?
Trying to find it.
I didn't make it up, I promise. I
Disneyland
can't.
could be coming down under in what will be the final piece of the puzzle, officially making this city the happiest place on earth.
Yeah.
You know what? We do deserve a Disneyland. However, rides will be rough in this state. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. You reckon?
it rains. It rains like 8 months of the year. So, you know, like
Yeah.
the rides are going to be like
That's
tentative. Yeah. So I guess maybe poncho sales will go up.
Yeah.
You could sell Disney ponchos.
Where is it? Says Fisherman's Bend.
It does say Fisherman's
Where the
Bend.
fuck is Fisherman's Bend?
I have zero idea
I
what
have
that
no
is.
idea where that is.
That's my.
That was good.
That was good.
That's me
Yeah.
casting it.
Yeah.
Big fishing guy. God, James, give us to stop that. Gotcha.
Port Melbourne.
Port
There you
Melbourne. Okay.
Fisherman's Bend.
Holy shit. That's amazing. I mean, obviously it'll be a long time from now.
So it's not confirmed. But
That would be. What a
that's where
great
it would be.
rumor.
Oh, sorry about that. So they're not. It's not happening. It just could happen.
It could happen.
But lots of things. Lots of things could happen.
Things could happen. Yeah. That comet could finally come and hit us. You never know.
We almost had one.
We did.
Yeah. The footage
Turns out it
is
was
so
just space
cringe.
junk.
Dude, the footage is so cringeworthy. Like it's
Hearing the
all
people
it's all
talk.
from like Australia,
Yeah.
and it's all these people like American people watching it, and then it's just like bogans.
Yeah.
It's like they all think we speak like that already. You know,
Yeah, they're
like,
just making
but
it worse.
we do.
they we kind of do.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Like
the fuck is that?
We definitely have
That's how we talk.
accents.
Yeah.
We definitely have accents, but we don't have like what they interpret our accents to be. And I feel like they're getting a really negative representation of what our culture is like. You know what? That's unfair. Most of our culture is like that. I'm just now rethinking that as I'm saying it.
It would have been so
Yeah.
much better if it was like full, western suburbs. Oh my god!
Yeah. See, as a multicultural country,
Yeah, that would be way more fitting.
that would be like I really feel like people from overseas fail to see that portion of our culture. We have a lot of blended cultures that are part of our tapestry,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all they think of us is like crikey and
Riding kangaroos to work and shit. Yeah.
yeah. We have a broad culture spectrum, and I'm proud of that.
Yeah, fucking oath. It's a very multicultural country.
Yeah, I just don't like bogan stuff because I grew up that way, and it's,
Too close to home.
yeah, it's too much for me. So versus being the major and the original, then you've started a new one as of like literally a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So So I started a touring company. Everyone. It's funny. I promise it works. See, here's the thing about all of these things. In my head, they all interlink, and they do. And I guess they interlink because of my connections. That's the primary thing here. So it's the people I've met along the way. It's a combination of people I've met during day-to-day business, say with Versus or my previous jobs, and then I guess the other part of my life has been playing in hardcore bands.
Yeah.
So that happened alongside all of this, and so I've on weekends or whenever I could take the time, I'm on tour, and for the last 15 years, I guess, maybe longer, 20, meeting people from bands and making those sort of connections there. Lucky enough to have been overseas quite a few times now to tour, meeting people overseas, and then just I think I love a chat.
Yeah.
And I genuinely want to know about people, so I ask questions. All the good stuff that actually connects people.
Yeah.
And just organically, that means growth, and that means opportunities. And what ended up happening recently is, I mean, look, I love hardcore music. I love hardcore and punk, and I am one of those stories that will say, this saved my life. But it kind of, in a way, it did, because I grew up as a person of colour in a country town.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up between, Shepparton in rural Victoria and Cairns in far north Queensland. And
Cairns?
That's right.
Yeah, there's no room for non-white people in
No,
Cairns. Yeah.
there wasn't much room for me in these two places. So I always felt like I was on the out. because I was told I was regularly.
Yeah.
But in high school, I started connecting with some guys that they looked different to everyone else. They were on skateboards and they had spiky hair and listened to loud music and told everyone to fuck off. And but they didn't to me. They sort of let me in, and that's when some really good friends. They became really good friends. Introduced me to this whole new world of music. Up until then, I always loved music. I was always listening to music growing up. I always loved to sing. That was just a thing that just came naturally for me. And I remember my parents saying, "Where are you picking this up from? Like you sing along to everything," and I didn't know. My parents loved music too, but they didn't know why either. They just sort of they liked what they liked. So it wasn't overexposure to music, but it was always present. But then, discovering this hardcore music and hearing people singing about their friends suddenly. So my exposure previous to that was just, more popular music. But suddenly I'm hearing this music that's loud and aggressive. But then when you dig down into what they're saying, they're talking about making changes. They're talking about politics. They're talking about not fitting in. They're talking about their friends. And I thought, that's crazy. I didn't know you could write about that stuff. I didn't think that's what I thought you wrote about love or, whatever, all the common themes. And that was really eye-opening to me. And, so I made these new friendships and, was exposed to more and more of this music. And, along the way, seeing that I loved to sing, there was always an element of me that loved to listen to melodic music. So it was always sort of that skate punk sort of element for me, stuff that you could sing along to and, nice, uplifting sort of stuff, I guess. But there was always this other part of me that was getting into the heavier stuff, the angrier stuff, because I was kind of pissed off, and I still am to this day. There's a lot of things in this world that I'm not stoked on.
There's a lot to be pissed off about.
That's right. That's right. And what a great way to vent that. And you guys know this because you guys come from the same sort of background. What a healthy way to vent your anger and your rage. It's
What's interesting is like hardcore music I don't know what it's like in other countries, but I know in Australia, and like we've played shows together, we've gone on tour together, like previously. And it's interesting because like I know Giuseppe's background in the music that he loved, he came from like metal. And he listened to like Metallica and anything in that sort of spectrum. And then that came to the middle and it kind of eventually met with hardcore at some point, right? And I came from the other spectrum. So I came from like pop punk and I got like into like post-hardcore. And then that eventually met in the middle with hardcore. So you've got like these dudes who have all kind of come from these different backgrounds. They make music together, which does make a more melodic hardcore. And hardcore music inherently is just so passion-driven that I can't fathom why people don't like it. And I understand that people have issues with screaming and stuff like that in music. But when you listen to how the songs are put together and the way that they push forward, they're so passionate and driven that it feels like there's a swelling inside you that makes you want to like run for like miles and miles and miles or something like that, And
exactly.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see that from those two backgrounds, they eventually just got somewhere in the middle and then they just came together. And now, that doesn't really rear its head until later life. And like I've realized that I never really liked metal. I never really listened to it. But I've played so much hardcore and I've been into hardcore for so long. And now in my later life, going back and listening to these back catalogs of bands that I've never bothered to listen to, like I'd like even just like really popular ones. Like I'd never listened to Lamb of God before because I was like, nah, too metal for me. And now I listen to them and I'm like, oh, this is like good, like why was I not listening to this? Yeah, shit like that. So it's interesting. I like to see where those people's backgrounds came from and how they eventually ended up there. Because in Australia, hardcore and like, I guess you would say, what was that thing? Melodic hardcore, I guess, was just like the thing. Everyone played that and nothing but that for a good 10 years.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. And it was,
it was thriving. It was around the period when we probably would have met.
Yeah.
So I met you, Joe, because you joined my band at the time.
Yeah.
And then by default, I would then meet Liam and those circles. And it felt like there were an endless amount of us. It was just,
there was a new one every week.
And that's probably because we were younger and we were more active and there was, and I can tell you right now, and that's something I'll probably go into shortly, but, it's still happening now. We're out a little bit, but it's, I've now got an opportunity to do some things and sort of give back to that. So, It's exciting. So the syndicate touring is what I've named it.
Yep.
The reason I've named it that is because, I mean, look, I've been exploring who I am and what I want to do and what direction I want to go in professionally, I guess, for a little while now. And Joe, you've been privy to that. And I keep coming back to this one thing. I'm a connector.
Yeah.
So I'm a central point, if I'm not connecting things to my own businesses, I'm connecting others that I know to each other.
Yep.
Because I could just see, a way for everyone to be working together, and I spot that stuff, and that's one of my favorite things about myself is that I can see an opportunity or spot a gap and go, why is no one doing that? Or if I do dare wonder out loud. When it comes to, say, a solution to a problem people are having, I can finally say it out loud, and the people that have been experiencing it will turn around and go, oh, yeah, shit, that'll work. And I'm like, sick. You know what I mean? It turns out I've got a head for this. Syndicate is that for me. It's a chance, and I think it's going to be a focus for me to become my main business. So versus merch has done me well for 10 years. It's not stopping. It's only going to grow. We've got partnerships lined up that are going to propel this through the roof.
Yep.
But then with my newfound ability to start to let go and let a team manage it for me, it means I can go off, and that's what happened here. Recently, I've started delegating a lot of my usual tasks to the people here, which unfortunately, it left a little gap in my head because I wasn't as busy. So I filled it instantly with a brand new thing, and that's the syndicate. And I don't mean to do that. I feel things just slot in. It's like when you take an angled shelf of product and you pull the front one off and they just slide in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how my head feels all of the time. It's like I've got this backlog of things, and I'd never forget them either. I've got lists. I've written them all out, but I don't need them. I don't think, because I've got all these things that just live there.
Yeah.
And if I can find a way to take one of the things in the front out, the next one just slots in, and that's what happened with the syndicate. So after,
am I wrong to say that when you started Versus, it was specifically to sell merch to bands?
Yeah. So to touch on that really quickly, because we didn't really go through that. I was doing design work and illustrations for fun for bands.
Yep.
I got told that my corporate job I was going to be made redundant.
Yep.
So I thought, shit, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And I actually said that out loud to a few of my friends, just in conversation. I'm like, shit, I don't know what's next for me. And there was an old mate of mine. I haven't spoken to Tom in a while, but his name's Tom Milroy from a band up in Newcastle that we used to tour with a lot. It was actually him that said to me, "You've been doing free work for us for a long time. Why don't we start paying you for your design work?" Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah, you reckon?" And he's like, "Yeah, we'll pay you for that. We love your work, and we'll support you, especially because you need something new. I reckon you should start something." So I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll give it a bash." And
that's
again,
a butterfly effect moment.
That's right
there. Yeah, he's just changed the trajectory of your life by saying, "I'll pay you for your illustration."
Absolutely, yeah. I developed imposter syndrome immediately, and I've got it to this day. Yeah. If you want to talk about mental health issues, I'm my biggest doubter. I think that's pretty common amongst most people, but God damn, I don't, a lot of the time I don't understand how any of this has happened. Yeah. But then I'll snap out of it and just get on with it. And it works. But yeah, he, like you said, changed the trajectory of my life right there and then. I thought I'll give this a bash. And started the merch business. But what I straight away started doing was, I only know limited amounts. I know a lot of bands. Yeah. But they're all poor hardcore dudes that don't have a lot of money. Yep. So
Gotta borrow your backline, guys.
Yeah, so what do they do? What do they? Can I borrow your backline? Can I borrow your amp? Can I borrow your drumsticks, Liam?
That's it. I'll never forget.
He told us a really embarrassing story before.
Yeah, I had to borrow drumsticks because I lost mine. And that is the bottom of the barrel, man. Can I borrow your drumsticks is like the lowest.
I thought you made it up. That's how low it was.
Dude, that's so... If there was any way I could have gone to a store and bought some drumsticks, I would have done it. But it was like literally 30 minutes before we went to play. And I left my drumsticks at a previous venue, which I had a specific drumstick bag for. And I had to borrow drumsticks like a fucking pauper, man. God
damn. That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
For my custom drum kit.
I feel bad I brought that
up. That's even better.
I feel bad I brought that up. Now, actually, that's awful.
Yeah. I'm not embarrassed about it. It was embarrassing at the time. At the time, it was like, fuck, man. Yeah. Actually literally begging someone for something. And the thing is, like, the way that I played drums, I knew in my heart that he wasn't getting those sticks back. They were dead.
Yeah, they were fucked, yeah. Just from the get-go.
Yeah, I bought him new ones.
I was about to ask that. Did you at least buy him new ones? I'm not
I bought new
poor.
ones. I found the brand. He was using this brand that I can't remember the name of it, but they were called like Try Something. And their whole thing was that they came in a pack of 3 instead of a pack of 2. And yeah, so they were pretty easy to find. I can't remember the exact brand name, but yeah, I got some for him. Yeah. And I even to this day remember like what the sticks were, what thickness.
It really fucking burnt into
Why
your
did they
memory.
do that? Why a third in case you break one?
Yeah.
Because that to me they're losing money.
It's weird.
Because instead, why just not buy a whole? You'd buy another set.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things
they've
where
shot
like,
themselves in the foot.
You know how crumpets get sold in packs of 5 so that you buy 2 packs? I think it was kind of like that.
So okay, right. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Right,
so
right,
their
right.
expectation was you would buy 2 packs and you would have like, 3 pairs. Yeah. That's what I assumed at the time. But yeah.
May as well just be selling Lucy's.
They were Lucy's.
Just chuck them behind chuck them behind the counter.
Dude, I've been that guy. I've been the guy buying the Lucy's. I've been that guy. That was when I was first starting in bands. I was young though, and I didn't have a job, so like buying Lucy's out of the bin. Fuck, as long as it was the right thickness, it was good enough for me. It's funny. I haven't thought about this for many years, but you really do develop, and this is with guitar as well, right? Because you start to develop like, string brand, thickness, picks, how, what like how thick or soft or how large your pick is even, stuff like that. But sticks are the same thing, man. Like, I ended up just using slabs of wood, but the longer I played drums, the less parts of the drum kit I used. When I first
Minimal
started, man,
kit, yeah.
dude, I had all the toms. I had a fucking splash. I had a bell over here.
Yeah.
At the time I finished playing drums, I had 3 drums, 3 cymbals. I was done.
That's because you were drumming with slabs and you couldn't move them.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's too heavy.
I got sick of setting it up.
Yeah. Drummers had it the absolute worst.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. And the cases, they're
it's a
so
rough
fucking
one.
hard to use. Yeah. Fuck, man.
That was a fun little side story.
Sorry.
Where are we? No, please.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Yeah, we're at Versus. So you started printing for bands originally after your friend changed your career trajectory.
Well, yeah. So Versus in its original format was a design company.
So you weren't printing yet. Okay,
no,
all right.
It was that came about not long. It didn't take long because word spread fast, and I found the courage to actually advertise that I was an illustrator.
Yep.
That was hard, by the way. That took a lot. I felt embarrassed every time I put a post up.
Yeah.
Hey guys, and sometimes people would talk to me like, "Oh, is it going okay, Ev?" And it made me feel a little bit ashamed, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's all right." And it was going well, and I had no reason to feel ashamed, but there was something about it, just like asking for help. Like some people find it really hard to sell because they don't want to sound like they're begging for it. Fuck that shit. Ask, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you're not hurting anyone, you ask. You or be strategic about who you ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that worked well. That kept going, and because of that, I had a large amount of work coming in, and I was hunched over a desk drawing or designing just constantly, which is what I wanted. And then I eventually got approached by one too many bands who had designed for saying, they all asked the same question after they have their pieces, like, where can we get this printed?
Yeah.
I don't know. Google it. Use so. I used to use so and so or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then eventually it became clear that there wasn't a lot out there. Well, and there have always been a lot of screen printers and companies like that. But they weren't advertising to me. I started realizing they're not advertising enough or in the right way to be found, to be accessible. Because I'm being asked this question a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are saying to me, where do I go? Where do I go? And I just said, well, fuck it. Come to me.
Yeah.
I'll figure this out. So that was it. That's where it twisted into something more tangible and a physical printing company.
Yeah. I would have thought Syndicate would come pretty soon after that, because then if you bring bands into the country, then you can just do their merch.
Well, that's right, and then that's always been part of my plan. You know, like I always think about, right, if you do this and move them there, and this happens, then you can then take advantage of this whole new thing.
Yeah.
That's the way all of this has been working. But what ended up happening in that regard, and the reason why more band orientated stuff didn't take off, I guess, is because I needed to get over this hump where I'd already drawn enough, or was drawing for enough people, and I was doing merch for enough bands, but that was limited because, like I said earlier, they don't have a lot of money. A lot of these bands, and they're not doing it for money. But then my head just went. Well, they can't sustain themselves. They can't live off their income from their band.
No.
So they've got day jobs. Maybe I'll start providing to the places where they work too.
Yeah.
And that was a big turning point.
Yeah.
So I sort of go,
yeah.
you've got 5 dudes in a band that, have become friends
Mm.
and that trust me because I'm, already working with them. And it's just, hey, where do you work? And, 5 guys, 5 different workplaces, 2 of them might be kind of high up the chain, enough to have some kind of buying power, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they go, well, yeah, I actually just ordered, X amount of, items for a promo or for uniforms or whatever. And the numbers they're talking were much bigger than what the bands were.
Yeah.
What the bands were ordering. It's like, holy shit. It's like, I had a mate, I had a colleague of mine at my day job before I became redundant. He just said, man, the craziest thing happened. I've become the head of the Liverpool Football Club fan club for Australia. I'm like, oh, yeah? And he goes, we need heaps of shit. I'm like, cool, let's do heaps of shit.
Yeah.
And so one of my first jobs, and I'm not a soccer fan, really. I'm well aware of who Liverpool are, though.
Yeah, yep.
That was one of my first big jobs, and I had a really tight, connection with this dude. He knew what I was trying to achieve, and I sort of went, oh fuck, I can, I don't have to do just band stuff. I can do other things. Obviously, but that was a realization for me. You know what I mean? I just hadn't thought about it that way.
Because it was outside of your comfort zone, right?
Well, that's right. It's outside of what I knew. I'm not someone you pay for real things.
Yeah.
At best, you pay me for band things.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do. That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
But the real things kept rolling.
Yeah.
And I found that there was more imposter syndrome when I started actually talking to people from big companies. I'm like, oh shit, they're going to see straight through me.
Yeah.
But I don't care to be, or I don't think I can be anyone but me.
Yes.
So I just go in there and go, oh, here you going? Let's do some stuff. You're already doing things. How about, I try to improve your deal or up your quality or something while we're at it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And what I would find is more often than not, these sort of more stuffy corporate types, let's say, would observe me and actually smile and let their guard down and go, oh shit, I can be myself around you.
Yeah.
Because they're just people too.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm really passionate about. Okay, it doesn't matter how big you are, you're probably just a person.
Yes,
I hope you're just a person.
Yeah.
I'm going to find that. So that's what I go in and find and go, let's just do some shit. We've got a big, massive banner up on the wall over there. It says, we do cool shit with cool people, made by Giuseppe himself.
Yep.
But I got him to make that for us simply because that is the informal slogan for the business. Like we just want to do cool shit with cool people.
Yeah.
I use that also against people sometimes when they've been awful to us as a business. It's like, sorry, we only do cool shit with cool people.
Yeah.
What a really nice way to tell them, fuck off.
Yeah.
I've witnessed that too. It's great.
Yeah. Hey, I don't muck around with that stuff. You got to be, the customer's not always right. I'll do my best to help, but they're not always, not always right.
Not always. Yeah.
No. But that was basically my, the ethos behind it all was just, do things my way, find people like me. Do some cool shit with some cool people.
Yeah.
And that's something I learned from hardcore. Like going back to that quickly, hardcore music is where I learnt all of this stuff. Like you listen to, listen to the bands I grew up on, punk rock bands right through to, the heavier hardcore bands. And they're saying to people, this is how we do our shit. This is what we do. We're going to do it our way. Aim that right. And, you can get somewhere. The other thing being, in bands for so long, a band is a business. My good friend Coops actually wrote a really, an incredible article about this that went viral some time ago. But he phrased it best, like being in a band is like a startup business. Yeah. Because it's a bunch of people with no money trying to get something done. And that's, that's a nicer way of wording it, wording what I've always felt. I'm just like, I know how to do this shit because, walk into the band room and go, we need money so that we can get some stuff so we can sell it so we can make some money and go on tour. You know what I mean?
I wish I understood that in my younger years. All I cared about was playing the music.
Well, look, I think we could have all, benefited from
better,
yeah. But,
hindsight's 2020, all that. Yeah.
Exactly. But, now, like I said, many years later and, the trajectory has been up ever since then, which has been amazing for me, amazing for the team I've been able to build. And like I said, I've been able to put some people into my role a little more, freed myself up, and then here comes the syndicate.
Yeah.
So the syndicate came about because some good friends of mine, they're from a band that I'm not allowed to mention yet, but they're confirmed to tour Australia.
Gotcha.
They're a band that have been...
Metallica.
They've been Metallica. This band, they're heroes of mine, and have also become friends of mine through some touring we did together. Having chats with them, having them put their trust in me, has opened up a floodgate, because I figured out how the industry works. I know basic business, obviously. I talked to a lot of people and just figured out, hey, what worked for you. This is other people that have been touring bands over the years. Australia's notorious for touring companies, having a hard time or, losing on tours. Throw COVID into it, and it also, fucks it up a little bit more, because we're sort of only just starting to rebound from that as well. But we've got a world full of hardcore bands that are dying to get down under, because, there's no denying that Australia is world class when it comes to hardcore bands now. We've got some amazing bands out there doing huge things. There are you look at festival bills overseas, or just general tours running through North America, and up half of the bands sometimes are Aussie bands. We're making a huge impact right now. That gives us a lot of power to invite people over here to experience the Australian hardcore scene. Hardcore gave me everything in regards to direction, gave me an idea that I could belong somewhere. And it taught me everything I needed to know to build businesses and to network and whatever else it may be. I can give back to that now a little bit and continue to do what I like doing. That's just doing cool shit, having some fun. I've got the connections now, and I want to take advantage of those for the good of all, I guess. So Syndicate now there's about, I reckon there's 6 bands you've heard of lined up. It's really exciting. We recently announced Desolated. They're more of a heavy beatdown band from the UK. They weren't initially in the plan. They came about simply because when I announced Syndicate a few weeks ago, I just started posting, who's out there, who do you want, what's going on? Just asking questions and just seeing what sort of feedback I could get. There was an overwhelming amount of people saying, hey, Desolated are going to be in Southeast Asia for a tour next January. That's a dream from a planning and a forecasting perspective for a touring company. Because a lot of the time it's about getting covering costs to get them here. They're basically here.
They're right there.
They're right there.
Small flight.
It's a small flight. So I thought, you know what, fuck it, let's go ahead, because I had this dream announcement ready to go. And it got leapfrogged by this other band, which is cool. I those dudes, I know a lot of their friends and a lot of the bands that they play with in the UK, but I wasn't super familiar with Desolated myself. I knew of them. They've been kicking around for over 10 years and doing their thing in their end of hardcore. But the response has been amazing. People are jumping on, and I'm not shy to say, "Oi, buy some fucking tickets." You say you want these bands here, buy some tickets. Don't be all talk, and people are responding. So this is looking like it's going to be a really great tour. And that's it in a nutshell. I guess I've figured out in dealing with them and in dealing with the band that we're soon to announce. I've pretty much ironed out the question marks I had around, like, what are the biggest problems people face in touring bands? How do people pitch, and what limits can I go to in regards to how we pay these bands? And because I didn't really know, I had a bit of an education from the people I've been talking to and got an idea. But I feel pretty confident because I go in there and I say, look, Australia's risky. Let's get you over here, but I'm going to be up front here, all the expenses. If we're to provide you with a really good time and all expenses paid, based on the numbers of people attending shows at the moment, let's drop that number for our projections. Let's assume that. Let's assume we're selling tickets for this much. And let's work out a deal based on the profits thereafter. And I've had a 100% strike rate with the bands that I've been dealing with.
That sounds like better than any proposal I ever received. and I was in a decent sized band as well. So and I just remember people barely even offering any sort of further build on information in that regard. They were just like, do you want to go to these places? And that was it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's transparency. I think when I'm approaching people that have been in the game for a long time, and they've dealt with people like me before. Like I just thought, shit, I'm going in hard here. With not a huge amount of experience, plenty of guidance though. I've got to be transparent.
Yep.
I've got to lower those projections so that they know at absolute worst this is what it should look like.
Yeah.
It's safe. It's safe for them. It's safe for us as a touring company. And I'm super confident about it now.
Yeah.
Like, now that people have been coming back and, like I've been asking for feedback from the bands going, well, how does, what would you usually want? And a lot of the time they have been telling me that it's about on par with what they were hoping for.
Yeah.
So that's sweet. That's perfect because I feel secure. I know that it's not so much of a, it's a calculated risk now as opposed to a shot in the dark. And, I think there's a really bright future. The syndicate as well. I mean, like again, we've got a really small audience, a passionate audience, but a small audience of hardcore sort of fans in Australia.
Yeah. I
think it's vital as well that I get on the phone with all of these other tour promoters as often as I can.
Yeah.
I had a really good phone call this afternoon with Matto from Last Ride Records because I don't know him. I just wanted to say good day and tell him what I'm about, see what he's about. It's clear he's killing it at the moment because he's looking after bands like Speed, who are absolutely dominating the world right now.
Yeah.
Huge right now.
Yeah, and like he announced no warning tour. They're very much a nostalgia band because they broke up. Did they break up? I'm not sure if they broke up and came back. I can't remember.
They just went on hiatus.
I think they did.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're back. He just announced a tour that's selling out like crazy. I think Melbourne sold out, in a few hours or something like that, which is amazing.
Yeah.
He's got Angel Dust on their way out that are selling well. Like he's doing some really big things. So I thought I need to know this guy.
About bands or drugs?
Speed, Angel Dust. Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
It's hardcore, baby.
Crystal meth.
Yeah. But so I want to share the love there, and I was really transparent with him and said, like I want to promote your stuff. I'd love it if you promoted my stuff, but that's up to you. I want everyone. I'll give you a heads up when I've got tours coming, or when I plan to place my tours, so that you can figure out what will work best for you, or tell me, oh no, don't use those dates because we want more people doing this stuff around here
because you can collab as well, right? Like if you guys have different bands that you're representing, it doesn't mean they can't go on the same tour together. I mean, it effectively just means you'd both be contributing a band.
That's right. It's the pool grows. Yeah, absolutely, it's possible. But we'll see what comes of that. But I've been having lots of really great combos, and everyone's been really, it's kind of daunting. I sort of thought, oh shit, am I going to come in here and be stepping on toes all over the place? Didn't want that, and I don't intend to do that.
Yeah.
So I thought the easiest way to solve that is by talking to them. And telling them, just be straight up. And I'll pull back as well. It's not, I'm not out to dominate. I'm not out to be the only one doing this, but I've got some really cool opportunities, and I've got people in my inbox that I can't even explain.
Yeah, like
the guys that have been messaging, even my personal pages, just going, "Hey, I've heard that you can help."
Yeah,
like, what the fuck are you doing messaging me?
And
that's crazy.
Send them like a bot response where it's like, if you want to go on tour, message the syndicate. Yeah,
but that's the new thing. So that's what I'm doing now, and it's fucking awesome. Like I'm super excited at the moment.
Yeah,
I feel alive again. I think I went into a little bit of a numb state during COVID, and I came out of it somewhat, but there's just this presence of just like. Like things are cool and I'm happy. And
I think the fact that you're willing to allow people to run your company for you is a big step because It's your baby and, this is your heart and soul and it's hard, but that doesn't mean you can't have your strengths, work in other areas like Syndicate. And you obviously have a lot of passion for that.
Definitely.
And it's funny, when you were speaking just then, I was just thinking of someone we've previously had on the podcast. Kind of similar, but there is a key difference there. He starts businesses and he attempts to step on people's toes, and then he on-sells the business and moves on. So there's the key difference between the two, because you both have that very driven mind to like start projects and get them going and have them operate really well. But the difference is you care and he doesn't. I guess it's not like he doesn't. It's more like his payout is when he has achieved the success of sale. Like that's his end point.
Yeah.
But your end point is when the company is a success.
and can remain sustainable.
Yes.
No, I know what you mean. And look, I've had those ideas before as well. Maybe not the not caring about people bit, but like, you know, you grow a business to a point where you can package it up and sell it off.
Yeah.
If that's what you're driving at.
Which you could do.
I could, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, man. I care. I do care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love people. I love my people.
What are we doing for time? Wrap it up? Okay, all right. Well, if we wrap it up now, we're just going to have to come back. So I would love to have you on again at some point. Because we actually didn't even get to a portion of your business, which I did want to talk about, which was your drop ship. I think it's like a drop shipping thing. Is that what is it?
Versus Alliance.
There we go.
Do we have a minute? Just a minute?
We'll give it a couple of minutes because I do want to talk about this because it's something that we want to use actually. So yeah, can you tell us what it is?
It is a drop shipping program as stated. So yeah, we basically set everything up for you, put it up on the website, and you don't have to deal with shipping or all that regular crappy stuff that you don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So you want merch, or you want to do merch, you want to sell merch, but you don't want the pain in the ass that goes along with making the orders. All you really have to do is create the merch. But even if you don't want to do that, Versus can do that as well. we
have the services here that can also do that and help you out.
Yeah.
We do indeed. It's been fun, hasn't it? Versus Alliance, it's called. So
yep.
It's one of my snazzy names, Alliance.
Yeah,
I like it. But it's very similar to Syndicate, isn't it? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's in the same realm.
Yeah.
Versus Alliance. Yeah, it's something I've wanted to do for a long, long time because there was definitely a need for it.
Yeah.
It just, why pay upfront costs when you don't have to?
Yeah.
And so, as Joe was saying, we'll set up a web store for you, set up a portal, lay it all out, and it looks, it'll look like your own page. You direct your people there, they buy it. We print on demand. We worked really hard to make sure that the printing and dispatch happens a little bit faster than all the other companies out there.
Yeah.
We didn't want to go in, and because we know there's going to be success here and it's already taking off. We didn't want to drown in it.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that turnaround time just out there a little bit. But we've already got eyes on bringing that forward. We've got some new equipment in that's changing the game as far as our processing and our printing speeds. So that'll definitely improve anyway. But
as a consumer, I've purchased from Print on Demand a few times, and it's been really, really bad. Right. Not in terms of like turnaround or. More so in terms of the quality of the product. Yep. And I think like the main thing I want to say about Versus Alliance that will be different to what I've experienced as a consumer is that the quality of the product is no different to if you were placing an order as like a consumer for like a company that you worked for and you were ordering bulk. You're not going to get like that shitty t-shirt in a shitty material that doesn't like, I don't know, fit properly, or after you wash it, it dies. Like it's not that thing. It's still printed properly on a proper fucking shirt or whatever it is.
Well, we'll say it how it is, and shout out to Elijah and our crew at AS Colour. We prefer AS Colour. The whole country prefers AS Colour. Yes. We've got the data on what people are ordering when they have the choice, and more often than not, it is all it's AS Colour. Just because they've got the goods, best quality and price balance is my little
correct.
Well, that's so that's a no-brainer. Dropship print on demand means that you pay a little bit more than. You may pay if you did a bulk order, but you run no risks. You don't have any leftover sizes.
Yep.
And I promise you that if you did buy a bulk amount by yourself, the amount of time you will spend sorting it, packing it, going to the post office, I promise the time is fucking money.
It's true. Money.
Like that, and so we've added an amount to make it a worthy business sort of set up for us.
Yeah.
But it's not blowing out so that it's just a rip off. Like we do have a better payout figure than the competitors. We've made sure of that. And like you just said, the quality's there. Like the quality is as good as if you handpicked, a bulk order yourself. So it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Run. Don't walk. To Versus Alliance for your own printing, for your project. In regards to that, we will also have our own merch at some point on Versus Alliance as well. So we'll give obviously shout outs for that when that comes out.
Pixel Kid's also on there.
Pixel Kid's on there. G's clothing brand as well.
You bought something from there. That's where it's come from.
Yep. And otherwise, Ev, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me,
this
guys.
was super, super insightful. And I still feel like we didn't get to finish everything, so I still think we should do another one with you.
Yeah.
Could have kept talking. I'll be honest.
And we can talk for
You know
fucking
what?
hours.
Maybe that was it, but I filled up all the time of talking about the sign.
Yeah, that was probably about
Maybe we
maybe
can-
40% of the.
See, all right, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
And-
guys. I very, very much appreciate the time and the chat.
All right, peace out. All right, see you later, guys. Bye.
Peace.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to and potentially watching our newest episode that we maybe filmed and edited in time to be released. If you could go ahead and follow us on all the socials, we would love you for that. I'll kiss you on the mouth. And also shout out to Versus, Ev from Versus, and please go check out Versus Alliance. And if you happen to work for a large company that needs bulk order printing, then give him a call or email. All right, bye guys, love you.
And fuck the slow-mo.
Snakes, he's playing.